Good day, everyone. Our lesson for today in dactyloscopy is about fingerprints. What is fingerprinting? Fingerprinting, it is an impression made by the ridge inside the first joint of the finger and thumb on any smooth surface through the medium of ink, sweat, or any ingredients capable of producing it. Fingerprints, an impression of distinctive ridges, outline which appear on that bulb on the inside and joint of the fingers and thumb. A fingerprint also, it is an impression of the friction ridge found on the inner surface of the finger or thumb. It can also be termed as a friction ridge print or friction ridge skin impression. History of the fingerprint. China may be credited as the first country that used fingerprint not as a way of identification but as a sign of authenticity of the document. The fingerprint in China, what we so-called wachi. In Japan naman po is tigata. Pioneers of fingerprint and their contribution. We have number 1 is Nemea Grew. In 1684, described the ridges and the pores of the hand and feet. Presented in Royal Society of London, England. Okay, next, Govard Biblo. Okay, works on the sweat pores and ridges. Okay, the next one is Marcelo Malfighi, considered as the father of dactyloscopy. He is also written a book entitled The Externotactus Organo. He is also a professor on a certain school, and he discovered the epidermis and dermis layer of the skin. When we say dermis, it is the inner layer of the skin, and epidermis is the outer layer of the skin. J.C.A. Mayer, the first to state that fingerprints are never been duplicated in two persons. Another personalities beyond fingerprint is Janes Porkenji, a professor of the University of Würzburg in Germany, established the certain rule of the classifications and able to identify the 9 types of pattern, although never associated to identifications. Another also, Hermann Wölker, took his own prints twice with a lapse of 41 years and showed the ridges formation remain the same. Okay, what happened to his fingerprint? Okay, after 40 years class, the fingerprint still remain. The ridges, the presence of the ridges must be remain. But the changes lang po is just because the certain person is getting old, the ridges, there are some scratches on a certain ridges. William Herschel, the one first to advocate the use of fingerprint as a substitute for the signature from among Indian native to avoid impersonation. Okay, we have Rahadar Kunai, the first person Herschel imprinted the palm. Next is Henry Folds, a surgeon in a certain hospital in Tokyo, Japan, who claimed that the Latin prints would provide a positive identification of offenders once being apprehended. He also wrote a manual of practical in dactyloscopy. Francis Galton also developed the 3 families of fingerprint, namely the arches, loop, and whorl pattern. The first also established the Civil Bureau of Personal Identification. He said that the possibility of the two prints being alike was 1:65 billion of people. Another also personality beyond fingerprint is Edward Richard Henry. He developed the Henry system of classification at Scotland Yard and nowadays in the Philippines that we are adapting. He is also known as the father of fingerprints, and with the help of Khan Ban Asisul, Haki, and Rahay Hemchandara Bushi, the Hindu police officers who helped Henry in attaining his goal. Another also personality beyond fingerprint is Juan Bucetich. Juan Bucetich, a Spanish counterpart of Henry who developed his own system of classification in Argentina and was accepted in almost all Spanish-speaking country. In America, Gilbert Thompson, a geologist in New Mexico, adopted the first individual use of fingerprint in August 8, 1882, as a protection to prevent tampering with the pay order. Another also is Isaiah West Tabor, a photographer in San Francisco who advocated the use of the system for the registration of the immigrant Chinese. We have Samuel Clemens, an Englishman who formally introduced dactyloscopy in the United States in his book Life in Mississippi, and Pappenhead Wilson. Another also is Henry De Forest, utilized the first municipal civil use of fingerprint per criminal registration on December 1902. We have also Captain James Park, advocate the first state and penal use of fingerprint adopted in Sing Sing prison on June 5, 1903. Later on, the Uborn Napanoch in Clinton Penitentiary. We have also Sergeant John Kenneth Ferrer, first fingerprint instructor at St. Louis Police Department in Missouri. We have also Major R.M.C. Claffrey, a warden of the Federal Penitentiary of Leavenworth, established the first official national government use of fingerprint. We have also Mary K. Holland, the first American instructress in dactyloscopy. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has also a contribution in the field of fingerprint. They are also the identification unit wherein was formally established the Act of the Congress in 1924. It is also an Institute of Applied Sciences, the first private school to install laboratories for instruction for the purpose of dactyloscopy. People versus Jennings in December 21, 1911, the United States leading case wherein the first conviction based on fingerprint was recognized by the judicial authorities. Take note, class, this is the first case in U.S. wherein won by means of fingerprint as an evidence in court. The history of the fingerprint in the Philippines. We have Mr. Jones, the one who first thought of fingerprint in the Philippines in 1900. The Bureau of Prison in 1968 was the Carpitas fingerprint was used on that particular date. The first Filipino fingerprint technician employed in Philippine Constabulary was Generoso Reyes. And we have also Isabela Bernales, the first Filipina fingerprint technician. And People of the Philippines versus Medina. the first conviction based on the fingerprint and leading case decision in the Philippine jurisprudence. It was using fingerprint as an evidence in court. That's why the conviction of a certain person. Federal Education Institution, known as the Philippine College of Criminology, the first government-recognized school to teach the science of fingerprint in other police sciences. Another also is personality who are trying to destroy the fingerprint as an evidence in court is John Dillinger, a number one U.S. public enemy who attempt to destroy his own prints using corrosive acid. Okay, what Mr. Dillinger do is they put an acid on on their finger, and then after that class for several months, the fingerprint must been developed and the same reading appeared on his hand. We have also Robert James Pitts work on surgery to forge his own fingerprint and was named a man without fingerprint. Another also personality, Lucila Lalo, the first Filipina chap-chap lady who was identified through fingerprint. That's all for our lesson, class. Thank you for listening and see you for our face-to-face. Bye!